Welcome back to Health is Wealth on WOR. Dana and Rob here. We're talking about testosterone, and we're bringing on Coach Mike next. Mike Cuciniello. He's the owner of Rare Breed. And he's a natural bodybuilding coach. And I think it's really important that he is here to explain the positives and the negatives about testosterone in the body. Now, I'm learning so much today because I don't know anything about testosterone, but I want to ask him specifically about younger men, whether they're in their early 20s, maybe even as early as high school, football, playing sports and stuff, the influence on testosterone, and if they feel like they have to take it for a reason. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they're really influenced at that age. So, Coach Mike, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Hi.
Hey guys. Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, get into that topic. I actually fight a lot. That's why I'm in natural bodybuilding. I'm trying to make people understand,
Right.
especially kids, that you don't need it at that age. So what happens is there's a rate. You go from 300 to 1200. When you're younger, your testosterone's up in the 1200 range, maybe even the 1500 range. These kids, what they're doing is they're seeing magazines, they're seeing people in the gym, they're seeing older people, and they
Right.
get influenced really fast. They see people on social media, and right away they want the fast results, and they think that's the route to go. Not knowing that if they are taking testosterone at that age, they're actually counterproductive. It's counterproductive because what's happening is if their natural testosterone's up, say in the 12 to 1500 range, and now they're injecting testosterone in their body, they're actually shutting their natural production down. So when you're shutting your natural production down, it's then you're gonna have to continue to keep taking it once you do that, right? So a
Right.
lot of kids fall into that trap of they're taking it and then they have to take it for the rest of their lives. So, if you're in your 50s and you're not feeling good and you go to the doctor and you get it done, and your test is really low in that 200 range, or, I'm all for it. Like, if you, as long as you're under doctor care. But again, you get that guy who's doing the same thing. He's just injecting and not knowing what he's doing. And eventually, your estrogen levels go up and you start holding on to water and you go through all these different, uh, you know, side effects. So for kids, especially, they get those side effects young, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems in the end.
I love that you mentioned estrogen because I feel like, especially men of the younger age, they're like, I don't have estrogen. I'm not a girl.
Yeah.
I'm not a woman. Like, I'm tough.
Hmm.
So, the fact that estrogen is present in men
Absolutely.
and testosterone is present in women, I feel like it's super important for people to understand that at any age and accept it. And it has nothing to do with your masculinity or your femininity. It has
Correct.
everything to do with the science of your body.
Correct. That's correct. And
So,
and
so coach, tell us a little bit about. I mean, I know that you do a lot of work with professional bodybuilding naturally, right? Even around
yes,
the country, we know you won a
Yeah.
couple of world titles. So,
right.
how do you explain to these guys that they don't have to do the testosterone to have a great physique? I mean, are there ways that you help them raise their levels naturally? Is it even that big of a deal to have high levels of testosterone to have a better physique, or is that
Um,
complete
you,
bull?
you want to keep it in the range. You want to try to obviously get it high, but in a natural range, like right 1200. Is the high range, high end of the range. What happens is when people are taking tests on top, they're trying to go into 3000 range, and they're just
Whoa.
injecting more and more. And that I've seen it before. I've seen people as high as 5000. So if you read on the internet and you see what some of these bodybuilders are taking, so um, at that age, at that young age, it's more about nutrition. It's more about supplementation, your sleep patterns. That all boosts testosterone. There's natural supplements you could take. You could take zinc, vitamin D, Tanga Ali, D-aspartic acid. These are things that are going to help naturally build your testosterone.
Right.
So I always go the natural route, and I always try to teach people the natural route. And their body stays healthy. I have professional bodybuilders right now in their 50s. I mean, they're getting drug tested at the shows. They're doing, at the end of the show, they got to take a urine test. They take a lie detector test. So the organizations that I'm involved with, it's all natural, and I've been doing it for years now, over 30 years, and I found a way to do it naturally. Even for myself, I got tested. My testosterone levels were like 275, which is on the lower end. It's not on the higher end, and I was feeling like a little lethargic. the doctor advised me to take testosterone, but I know I'm not doing that because of who I am and what I do. So I went back to my house. I bought my own supplements. I got better sleep. I started fixing my diet again. I went back and I shot up to 600. So the thing is that you can do it natural. It's just going to take a little bit more time. You know.
What you mentioned you changed your diet. What are some foods or supplements or whatever that you can do at home that can bump up your testosterone instead of just instantly going to the doctor and getting hormone
Yeah, well, your
injections?
diet's really important. You got to make sure your protein's up at a certain level, a high level. Carbohydrates, it's I keep it at a moderate level pretty much for everybody, depending on the
Hmm.
energy levels or where they're at. And your fat is very important for your hormones too. So you got to keep your fat over for an average person in the 50 to 60 range minimum. So we keep that. As you're getting closer to bodybuilding shows, it drops down obviously, and everything drops down. But as you're dropping down, so now your nutrition is changing, your testosterone is actually dropping, right?
Right.
So when someone's at the end of a prep, their testosterone starts to drop down lower. Supplementation, like I said, Tonga Ali is really good. Zinc is really good. Vitamin D is really good. I use a stuff called Tribulus, made by Tribex 90, is really good. It's called Tribex 90. It's really good. I love it. I've been using it for years. You definitely feel the boost from that. So you start putting all that stuff together, and you start
Hmm.
to feel healthier. But the sleep patterns and everything else along really helps all that too.
Coach, what
Right.
about like CBD or hemp or anything like that
Yeah. So
to
that's
does that
really
stuff
good too,
help?
because what that does is it relaxes the body, right? Ashwagandha, stuff like that. You want to try to keep your levels low, your stress levels as low as possible, right? And all these things help the stress levels go down. The more less stress you have, the more testosterone you produce.
No, I have a question
Mhm.
because I knew someone who he was young, he was in his late 30s and he used steroids and all of this stuff and he got cancer and passed away and they can't
Yeah.
say definitely if it was linked to that. But
Yeah.
when you're using, you mentioned before 3,000, 5,000
Yeah.
level testosterone,
Seen it all
you
the time.
said 3,000 to 5,000 level of testosterone. Is that fatal? Like, are you putting yourself in alarming, in a range where it could essentially diminish your heart or your organs or something to that nature?
Absolutely. As you can see, a lot of IFBB pro bodybuilders are dying over the last
Yes.
year and a half. When your testosterone is very, very high, and these guys aren't going to doctors and getting checked and their blood work done, your hemoglobins go up, and then your blood gets really thick. So it could cause heart attacks. That's where they're getting
Wow.
heart attacks. I've seen people, bodybuilders, along my journey, and again, I tell them like, you guys are crazy. Like, just do it natural. They get blood clots in their legs. One guy I know had to get his leg amputated.
Wow.
So you get blood clots from these injections from taking too much testosterone. And they won't talk about it that much, like in bodybuilding circle, because they don't want nobody to know about all this stuff. And then when you
Right.
go to a TRT
Of
doctor,
course.
not saying that they're uh, they're very fast to give it to people because that's how they make their money, right? So they're going to see somebody in that lower end, and instead of trying to correct their diet and correct their sleep patterns and try to do it naturally, they'll right away give them testosterone therapy. And you can go online and fill out an application and just say, I'm not, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, and next thing you know, you got a prescription.
Right.
So that's the problem with today. I feel like nobody's willing to work for it, and just fix the things in your body naturally.
Right. You said earlier, about the quick fix. I feel like that's with weight loss, that's with everything. Everybody's just looking for the quickest way out. This is Health is Wealth. We will be right back. Coach Mike, you're not going anywhere. We have a lot more to talk about. I am so alarmed at this 5,000 thing, though. I'm not going to lie. My mind is boggled. But we'll be right back. Health is Wealth on WOR, sponsored by Physicians Only CBD. Back to Health is Wealth on WOR, sponsored by Physicians Only CBD. And Coach Mike is with us. And Rob, you wanted to get into the mental health aspect
Yeah. So,
with Coach Mike,
I
right?
mean, Coach Mike, he touched on a lot of, obviously the negative effects of these guys abusing testosterone. But, Coach, something I'm
Right.
very passionate about, and we had a psychotherapist on before, is
Yeah,
testosterone is important for men, right? It's important
absolutely.
for us as individuals. It's important for us as a civilization, right? For a lot of things, for motivation, for doing the right thing, not just for sex and muscle. So, speak a little bit about what are the importances of having higher testosterone levels. Not high where they're, you're anabolic, but having a decent testosterone level. What does that do for your mental? What does that do for your physical? And why is testosterone not the bad thing that everyone wants to make it out to be off the bat?
Getting back to that, like I said before, for the younger guys who have natural testosterone levels, it's bad for them. That's what I get. But someone who's older in their 50s, or and they're not feeling good and their energy levels are low, what this does is when you get it under doctor care, they monitor you and then they bring your levels back up to where you're, like, say, 30 years old, and you'll start to
Mhm.
feel the benefits of that. So I'm all for that. If you're older, an older gentleman or an older or woman, and you need it at that point, it'll actually make you be a little bit more aggressive, like bringing you back to hungry and get back in the gym, or even just walking around in life. So it gets rid of brain fog. So there is good stuff about testosterone. I'm not saying it's bad, but when your levels are good, there's no reason to take it. But if your levels are crashed and you're all the way down, it's a problem. And that's where you need to get professional help. And I think um, there's so many different supplements out there that crash. It's becoming more and more. How do I say it? Um, Around the gyms, that's all you're starting to see is all these young guys, and they're not realizing what they're doing to themselves in the future.
Yeah.
So in the future, they're going to have to go to the doctor when they get older and smarter and say, you know what, you're going to be cruising on 200, 1 cc of test a week for the rest of your life. They might not have had to do that, you know, if they didn't do it when they were younger. Um, but the benefits definitely there, for older people, 100%. Um,
And what do you see? I mean, what do you see just in general? Do you think that there's a correlation between the athletes that you train that, supersede and they win, and the athletes that maybe don't do as good? You think those athletes maybe just were born with a little bit higher natural testosterone? You think it makes that much of a difference?
the chemistry of the body, when you have higher testosterone, you're more athletic, right? You're more stronger, you're more faster. Not saying that guy that has the lower testosterone, they just have to work harder to get to that level, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I always do. I always try to make people work harder. So if you work harder, you'll surpass that guy who's taking the testosterone, right? Or who has a higher testosterone. It doesn't matter mentally. This guy might have higher testosterone, but the guy who's hungry and has more heart will always pass that guy if the other guy's not as hungry as the guy with the lower test.
Mhm.
So, one of the things I love to do is take that guy who's not genetically a freak and not genetically there, and I love to see them transform and become that athlete and become that person who said, I could never do it. To me,
Yeah.
those are the most important people. The guy who's genetically gifted, I mean, that's they're going to be like that forever. But
Yeah.
transforming that other person is more important.
I think that's super. I mean, I can relate to that. That's probably the only thing I can relate to this whole podcast because I had no idea what I was talking about. But I obviously Rob trains me,
Yes.
and a lot of his clients are athletic. So when I had started going there, especially when he moved into the bigger space and there were other people at the gym, I was working out or I was seeing a lot of people who were athletic or, they were dancers or they were, just athletes their whole life. And I walked in at, 300 plus pounds, like, I can't do this. And then you do it.
Yes.
And like, you realize that we're not the same. And unfortunately, whether you're a woman or a man, society puts you against, if you're a guy, you have to be ripped and you have to have a six pack and you have to have the tattoos and the perfect skin and all this stuff. And then with women, it's skinny and
Yeah.
this and that. And when you start to become part of, I guess, something like a community, whether it's bodybuilding or working out or whatever it is,
Right.
and you start to realize that not everybody's the same scientifically. Your
Exactly.
bodies are different,
Yep.
and no matter what, we're putting in we're not putting in this, somebody may be working harder than the other, but that's not because they're better. It's just because your bodies are different.
Right.
And obviously I'm not going to go take testosterone or estrogen. But there are people that could walk into the gym that take diet pills and they could lose weight
Yeah.
faster than I do.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how did she lose 60 pounds in 3 months and it took me over a year to lose
Yeah.
100? And you just don't know what people are doing. So I think it's really important, especially in this episode, because really a lot of people, they take this aside from medical reasons for physical
Yep.
reasons. And I think it's really important just to mention, like, it's you harming yourself and putting chemicals in your body is not it's just it's so
Yeah.
bad. And people just don't realize how much they're hurting
Right.
themselves because they just want to look good for this small tiny piece of
Well,
their life.
you,
You know what I mean? Because when you're in your 50s and you look back in your
different
20s
mindset.
and you're like, oh, I was taking
Yep.
testosterone there. Now I'm on it forever because of that. That's just, you totally wrecked
Absolutely.
yourself for a tiny piece
Well,
of
I
your
think
life.
the point that you made too, you got to remember when you're working out, like when Rob's training you or Rob training another person, it's you versus you. You never look at the other
Right.
person. You have your own journey. Everybody has their own journey. So it's really important to stay focused on your journey, because if you start looking at everybody else, your mind starts going crazy. So always know, as you're climbing on your journey, you're eventually going to get over that hump. And once you get over that hump, you're gonna really drive and become successful.
Right.
It might take a little bit longer, but you always got to stay focused on you pushing over. You know,
Absolutely. And now, you know what, Coach Mike, I work out with these people that I was scared of when I first walked in, and
okay.
I can't keep up with them exactly, but like we're doing the same things and we're having a good time doing it.
Right.
So I mean, it
Yep.
just takes time and it takes, a mindset. And everything you said was super important, and just thank you so much for coming on and
Yeah.
being super insightful, and
Absolutely.
really enjoyed you
I did too.
helping us out today.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Do you
Really
have a
appreciate it.
website?
What's
Yeah.
that?
Do you have a website or Instagram or
I
anywhere
have an
people can
Instagram.
find you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's Rare Breed X Bodies. Uh, Rare Breed X Bodies. Yeah, that's it
Okay.
on Instagram. Yeah.
All right,
All right.
cool. Thank you so much, Coach
Yeah.
Mike.
All right.
We'll speak to you soon, hopefully.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Well, we'll get together
All
soon. All
right.
right, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, Mike. 100%. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Coach Mike, for stopping by Health is Wealth on WOR. Rob, I have to tip my hat to you because this was a really interesting episode, and I feel like I
Well,
learned.
listen, the main thing you learned is first thing you're going to ask on that date is, what's your testosterone levels? Have you
What's
ever
your T
taken
level?
testosterone? And do we need to maybe check how much you injected in the past?
Yeah. Not just for sex, but because I need to know if you're driven.
Exactly.
Are you aggressive? Honestly, I feel like we answered all the questions to my man, to my, my dating problems. I clearly was dating men with low testosterone
Yeah,
because
and
they were all stupid.
we had two women on the show and we had two men on the show today, and I
Yeah,
hope that we were able to maybe shed some light for the other female viewers out there that, listen, testosterone, it's not the terrible hormone that's in your body. Some people
right.
use it the wrong way, but it's got a lot of good benefits as well. So I hope we shed a little bit of light on that. I think we did.
Well, super important stuff. Good job today. I think we did a really good job. I'm gonna pat us on the shoulder for that. We'll be back next week. Health is Wealth right here on WOR, sponsored by Physicians Only CBD.